It's a big day in Sittingbourne on September the 12th, 1928. It was a Wednesday. This is the laying of the foundation stone for the Sittingbourne District Cottage Hospital, to be known as the Memorial Hospital in memory of Frank Lloyd and his wife. Amongst a guard of honour are the St John's Ambulance Brigade and nursing sisters. The entrance to the hospital site from Bell Road was carpeted with red baize. The Scouts and 4 companies of Sittingbourne Girl Guides under the supervision of Mrs White. The honoured guests were received by Lieutenant Colonel Locke JP, and Lady Harris was presented a bouquet by Miss Barbara Locke. As part of the Guard of Honour, we can see here the police led by Superintendent Hoare. Notice the medals. This is just 10 years after the end of the Great War. Council officials would have included the clerk, G.H. Potter. Here we see Lord Harris in the light-coloured bowler hat, and the 2 officiating clergymen. A temporary platform has been created around the stone, and here the invited guests were assembled. Mr. W.E. Jarrett, chair of the hospital committee, an ex-Sittingbourne Council chairman, opening proceedings and introducing Lady Harris. Behind the crowd you can see the brass helmets of both the Sittingbourne and Milton fire brigades, who formed part of the Guard of Honour. Mr. Jarrett welcomed Lord and Lady Harris and spoke about the need for the hospital. Lady Harris moves forward. One of the invited guests, obviously a teacher, removes his mortarboard. Mr. A.W. Bishop gives Lady Harris a silver trowel. The men from E. Bishop Builders adjust the stone and the pulleys. Lady Harris spreads a bit of mortar on the stone and declares it laid. Lady Harris thanked everyone and said it was an honour, and praised Mrs Garwood and the family. A service of dedication and the singing of Praise My Soul, the King of Heaven. The service was conducted by the Reverend A.P. McNeill and the Reverend Wrigley. The Reverend McNeill is the Royal Dean and Rector of Merston. The Reverend Wrigley is the Sittingbourne Congregational Minister. Mrs Mondrell, Chair of Milton Regis Urban District Council, thanks Lady Harris and Lord Harris for coming along too. Mr Hinge, the farmer from Borden and a member of the hospital board, is seconding. Mr Foster, Vice Chair of Sittingbourne Urban District Council, supporting and proposes a vote of thanks. Lord Harris spoke of the need for this hospital and praised Mrs Garwood and the family of Frank Lloyd, whose benevolence would live on. Mr Miller of Edward Lloyd Papermakers Limited thanked the chair, Councillor Jarrett, for all his work on the hospital committee since the idea was first mooted. The Sittingbourne Paper Mills Band played God Save the King and continued to play selections in this glorious autumn weather as the crowd of several thousand went on their way. In an industrial centre like Sittingbourne, the need for such a hospital had been keenly felt for many years. But always the question of finance had proved a stumbling block. Now, through the munificence of the Lloyd family, the hospital would soon become a reality. The hospital was designed by architect Wallace Marchmont and constructed by local builders E. Bishop. Frank Lloyd, who had inherited the Edward Lloyd papermaking empire, died in 1927.